Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. My name is David and this is my channel. Today's video is called "The Only Enemy We Have is Our Source." What a powerful statement to make. I mean, we're supposed to be coming together with our source, and source is love and unconditional love, and yet that's our enemy. So why is it that I believe this is true? Well, if you look at, if I just talk about a little bit about martial arts and Tai Chi again, the idea is there's a mechanism of the body. As a matter of fact, it's very similar to that of electricity. Electricity, you have positive and negative. As electricity was created, they realized that the positive and negative, one was becoming bigger than the other. So it was holding more voltage or electricity as it is. So they had to create a neutral position. So they found a neutral. From a neutral position, you were able to create equality between the two hot wires. But then they realized that even then, it was that electricity was going in and zapping people. So then they realized they had to create a ground. So now we have the 4 points. It's really only 3 points, the yin and yang, and the neutral position that brings them together. So the negative, positive, neutral. But since we are in this body and this physical experience, we do need a ground. And that's how the electricity works, and that's how the body works, and that's how this journey works through these 4 positions. Now, Bashar would say there's the inner being, or there's us, and there's source, and there's a point in between that moves in between your inner child, your inner being. And I kind of consider each one of us like that point that moves. Either we equate with our inner child or we equate with our higher perspective. And we're kind of moving in between the two. And then as we move this way, then we bring this one with us and they come closer and closer together. Now, in the body, it's the same idea. We have a mechanism. Believe it or not, we have the 2 energies. And we have a neutral position from the center. We call it the Dantian in Tai Chi. And we move everything from the Dantian, or move everything from the spine. And then we ground it through the bottom of the spine into the feet through rooting system. When that happens, everything moves, this perfect, powerful, flowing movement of receiving and releasing through the body. But let's say someone doesn't understand that. No problem. So now their body is a little jagged, or their balance is off. So if you look at it, though, the only thing that they would be pushing against is the perfection of how it should be. Does that make sense? Just like if you look at electricity, as they came up with positive and negative, it's not that it was wrong. They were pushing against the full system that was already in place. Can you feel that? That's the idea of looking from a broader perspective that is already done. When they started only using 2, they were pushing against the 4. So since they were pushing against it, the indicator was letting them know they were missing something. And they started listening to the indicators and started finding the reasons. Now, that's the idea of the unfolding of life. It's already done. Everything that you've ever asked for in the perfect part of you, the best self, is already there. And anytime that you move in a direction that doesn't work for it, you feel an indicator to let you know that you're not uncovering it, so to speak. Can you feel the more of an uncovering idea of this world versus going to go get? And it's the same thing with the body. If someone comes in, I watch them move and I know where their mind is according to their body. And I can see both. I can see, the perfection of their body and their mind and how it works, and also where they're at, and help them let go of certain things in order to receive. That's the idea of release in order to receive. You see, receive what? Receive the truth of how it's all supposed to work. So because of that, the only thing we can ever push against is our own self, which we've all heard of that intellectually. Oh, I'm pushing against myself again. I'm pushing against myself. But I want to introduce it in a whole new way, because the reality is that we push against our source only, not others. And I learned that when I gave up others and I stopped trying to please others, and I started trading everything in for this one source energy. And then I realized, oh my gosh, it had nothing to do with them, because source sees itself in all people. You can push against a rock, you'll push against source. If you do not think something's pretty, you're pushing against your source. If you do not think something is is healthy or well, then you are pushing against your source. If you look at someone sick and say, oh, I'm so sorry that you're sick, you're pushing against your source. You're pushing against your wellness. That is the only truth. This is powerful. You look at someone who is not wealthy, and you say, man, they are poor, they don't have any money. You're pushing against your source. And the more you pay attention to it, you'll feel it. Because we say it based on a belief system that we've picked up. You are not healthy. That's a belief, not a truth. That's a belief. Now, we might be looking at someone who's obviously seems to be sick or releasing some resistance, but what are they doing? They're releasing resistance towards their source. You see, because they believe that they're sick. So there's that belief again, and now here it is releasing on the other side. And the more we kind of pay attention, a little bit at a time, I know it can be difficult to see, these beliefs that are causing these commotions, because it's just the beliefs that we have picked up that are really the culprit that is creating the resistance that we have towards our source energy. If we weren't moving towards our source energy, then we would feel wonderful and great. But we are all connected to our source energy, even while we're here. So when a belief moves us against what our source energy knows, what our higher perspective and our broader perspective can see and know is true, then we're going to feel that resistance based on the insistence of believing that belief that we have picked up, probably from the past or from other people, right? So how do we stop pushing against our source? Well, one, recognizing that there's got to be another way to see this. This is where it gets tricky. Just remember, your source energy sees it only one way. Guess what way that is? Unconditional love. Everything, everyone, all those people in your past that we hold on to and we create beliefs based around them. Guess what? Your source is seeing them unconditionally. That's why it's so tricky, is that it sees everybody as healthy. It sees everybody as wealthy. It sees everybody as beautiful. It sees everybody as the Son of God. It sees everybody as itself. It sees everybody as unconditionally loved, appreciated, beautiful, perfect, amazing, fabulous. You see? So I get that, right? Now you have to ask yourself, how many beliefs do you have in the way of that? That's what's causing the resistance. Any belief that you have that doesn't match that, that's causing resistance. But it helps to know that it's not have anything to do with anything out there. Like we talked before, that's just projection. All those things that stop you from believing that truth about your source is coming from within based on a belief system that you've picked up that's not true. And I recommend that. Why not? Write down, what does your source see? Unconditional love, unconditional appreciation, beauty and goodness and flow, and joy and perfection and health and wellness and invulnerability, no death, no loss, no lack. And as you write that down and then you say, okay, that's what my source, that's what my inner being sees. What do I see? And you say, oh my gosh, how many are pushing against it? And I'm not lying to you. If you just look back and take one at a time and say, let's say, beauty, and then see what the mind says. What about this and this and this? And you'll find those beliefs. You'll see them. Because as soon as you say it, the mind is going to push against it. That's that inner child saying, whoa, this is not what I've learned. And then you can see it. Write it down on the other side. What are those beliefs based on beauty? Why is not everything beautiful? This. And then you can study the two. And you'll feel that negative emotion as you don't believe this side. And as you look and say, well, there's only health and wellness. And then boom, where does it go? What about Aunt this? And what about this? And what about this person? Or what about when I felt this way? And then you're going to see those beliefs that you have picked up. And you're going to see where the balance is not there. You see? And that's what causes negative emotion. And the more these insistences, these beliefs pile up as you start noticing them, you're going to realize, oh, this is what's causing me all this anger and frustration and congestion. Because this side knows truth. That's knowledge. That's truth, not a belief. It is what it is. But this side, these are beliefs. And the more you investigate them, and how do you find them? By speaking this side. That's all you got to do. You know, I sit back and I say, I am wealthy. Mine goes, pop, 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 pop. You write them down. What is it that makes me feel like I'm not wealthy? Why can't I feel wealthy? Well, you have this mortgage and you have this and then this. And then you go from there and you say, what is it that I must believe to believe that I can't be wealthy just because I have a mortgage, or just because I have this, or just because I feel like I'm in debt, you see? And you'll start picking up these two, because that bigger part of you is saying you are wealthy regardless of where you are. Where's the gap? What's stopping you from believing that deep down in your heart, you see? And as you go investigate it, you're going to find out what you need to let go of. And this is the only way. It is the truth, because the more we realize what are we stacking up against ourselves. Why do we believe we're not well-being? Well, because of this disease, or because of this happened to me, or because this person I saw this. And then now you have to sit back and say, well, what is it about this? Why is it that I'm freezing time and saying this is it? And Source is saying, nope. They're just releasing resistance towards their own insistences. And you're seeing it incorrectly. How can I let go of that way of seeing it and join this holy vision? Individual, holy vision. Right? Limited self, unlimited self. From my experience, as I switch from one to the other, a little bit more every day, and everything starts becoming revealed, so I can see it in a bigger place, and start having more faith, letting go of fear of that limited perspective, and bringing in that love and unconditional joy of that broader perspective. This is the balance that's going on. This is it, you see. Just like the body, it takes time to move this balance back and forth, but we can't do it until we get a neutral position. And that's why I offer this. Recognize both of these. Recognize there is two sides to this, and they need to agree with each other as much as you can. But the good news is you can take this side, and boy, you move in this side, you're going to feel this side. Tick, 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 tick. It's just going to come. All those beliefs are going to start flowing in. And then you can look at both of them side by side and say, what must I believe here? What is it about my past that makes me absolutely believe that this is not true? And then you will see, you'll find a way of putting them next to each other and realizing this is not true. This is not true, because they will help you. Because the more you just look at this side and say, is it possible it's not true? So therefore, there's no more insistence it has to be true. It might not be. Is it possible that someone, regardless of what they are having in their body, that they can be perfectly healthy or perfectly healed or whatever it is? And then as you do that and you say, is it possible? Now things are going to start flowing in. Maybe examples, or maybe you find someone who had, like Anita Moorjani, where she had all this cancer, had a near-death experience, came back and was healed completely. And that's enough to make you believe. If one person can do it, then all people can do it. You see, and then now your journey starts, because no longer do you absolutely believe. As Bashar says, remember, beliefs, their natural state of how they are is to redo themselves, is to keep themselves going. They're an engine. So as you say them, you reinforce them. You say them, you reinforce them until that's all you see. But those beliefs will take that broader perspective of who you really are and move you into a limited place of unlimited clarity. But the good news is we have this side. Use it. I recommend it. Make sure this is the one you have, so that way you can put them next to each other, and this one will shine the light on the darkness over here and let you see it. And as you see it, it will disappear and let go. And then you will see the only culprit in your life is your belief system, not anyone else, not your past, not what's happened to you. It's an eternal journey, right? An eternal journey. There's no mistakes, there's no errors, there's no sin, there's no guilt. It's eternal. And you will see the only culprit is the belief system. Then you'll realize that the only thing that you are pushing against ever in your life that's causing all of the contraction and resistance is the belief system of your source. That's it. And through faith, first hope, faith, This will become bigger and bigger and bigger, and you will see, I've got to get into here. I've got to start moving in this. I've got to start believing that. I don't want to continue pushing against this because it's very, very uncomfortable. And then I put a lot of blame on my brothers and sisters. Boy, right? It's not worth it. Forgive, forgive, forgive. Go inside. Put these two. Find out what's going on. And then your source will be your love, your greatest love of your life. No longer your enemy. Thanks so much for following. As always, it is up to you what you receive. Keep the comments coming, guys. Thank you so much for the love and support. I love this so much. It is my passion indeed to share this to everyone that will listen. And you get what you get, which is a wonderful way about going about a journey. Hit the like button if it's speaking to you, and continue to subscribe. And as always, my unconditional love and appreciation.